Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Top 2 PhilosoFurs.
Terraforming politics.
So I think for episode 1, I was doing a bit of thinking before, coming back from my little siesta. Hi.
Yep.
Well, for the first episode here, my plan is to say the plan. What is the plan? We are both relatively high IQ philosophers, and we want to see a better change in the world and talk with people and understand each other and work together towards building a better future for everybody. Like, what are we here for? And what are going to be some of our talking points going forward? What are we going to be focusing on? And what are we going to be talking about? Well, the world's kind of in a very shitty place right now. I think everyone can wholeheartedly agree on that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in my mind, I thought that we should talk about, on a more deeper level, why the world is the way it is, instead of just looking at headlines and being like, this is happening now or that's happening now. Like, really understanding, like, the root of the problem.
Yes,
like,
coming to the root cause. That is what is going to bring us from, where we're at now as a society, as a people. Like, we're all people. We might be furries on the internet, but we're all people, and we all have a say. We all have things we can do, things that we can change, and what are some of those things, and how can we build upon what we already have and work together as a people, work together to create something new, create something beautiful, something that we can bestow upon everyone who comes after us. Because at the end of the day, like, our lives are very short, and we can do so much more going forward if we just work together and we decide that we're going to make the world into a better place. And that's pretty much the plan of this.
Plan to be very actionable, right? So, like, because what I've noticed is that pretty much every complex issue can be boiled down to something relatively simple. So the goal is to simplify it down to things that normal people could do to improve society.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sorry, I think I was muted and then unmuted myself. Hoa. I'm drinking Monster. I don't know if anyone else is drinking anything this morning, but yeah.
I already had a liter of milk.
A liter of milk? My goodness, my stomach would be in shambles. So for the plan, the first episode being much more of a pilot and more like trying to think in generalization terms, what we're going for, what we're going to be talking about going forward, some of our main talking points. Like, there's obviously geopolitics at a large scale that are completely fucked, and the people who are currently running things, in my opinion, have no business doing so. They think that, everything is so short-sighted. We need to think more long-term as a society, as a people. Anywhere from geopolitically, like, all the way up from global levels, all the way down to, intertwined communities. We need to have a mix of topics.
But, like, when it comes to improving society, as much as this might sound scary, it takes a very long time for societies to change if you were to look throughout history.
But if we don't talk about this and put this out there, then no one ever, we could talk it to ourselves for an eon and nothing's going to change.
Mm-hmm. So if I were to say something like, society is going to, like, probably collapse at some point, that could be 10, 20 years from now.
Could be tomorrow.
We need to become more, like, that's also true. If you want to become more, actually have foresight, realistically, that could actually be such a challenge that we might have to wait until the next generation for that to happen. But we're still responsible.
But things can change so fast. Things can change really fast. Like, look at how fast, like, technology's improved. Like, look at how, like, one small thing, like the new fish game that just showed up in this game, for example. Like, how many people just came together over that? Sometimes all it needs is a good idea. And
you just need a good idea, yeah. But what I also like is to have kind of like a plan. So like when I'm thinking about the challenges, the risk that we're going to face in our future, I like to plan a way that doesn't cost me anything. Like if I'm thinking, oh, I want to own my house early and I want to have a private pension, for example. Like if the risk doesn't come true and like the world turns out better, I didn't lose anything. You know, it's not like I spent money to build a bunker or anything. I just like, oh great, like I get a better retirement now kind of thing. But if the bad things happen, it provides me a layer of protection.
well, most
And that's the
people
kind
aren't
of
going to
risk
be on that page, unfortunately. That like most people don't have the ability to even save for retirement right now.
Yeah, I know. If this is Americans, I feel bad for you. I'm a European, so I'm a little bit
Yeah.
spoiled. You know, things are very
A bit
good
better here,
still.
or a bit better there. I mean, yeah. So, so I guess we should probably go into some introductions. Hello, I am Cyan. I've graduated from college or university, depending on where you're at. I have worked quite a few different jobs in my lifetime. I have seen much. I have done much. I have met some really cool people, all like from CEOs to lead NASA researchers. I have had long talks with lots of them, and I can tell you one thing for certain. I've talked with, you know, thousands of people in VR chat as well. And one of the biggest things that I've come to a conclusion is that people just want to be left alone mostly. Mostly people just want to live their lives and be happy. And I want to see that become a reality for everybody, not just for a few people. I want to see that come to everyone.
On my end, I have been facing injustice for pretty much my entire life, and I'm talking about like from the moment I was like 4 years old. There's just bad stuff happening everywhere. People, like these crazy teachers, you know, tying me to a chair in the corridor, even about 4 years old, right?
Europe isn't sounding so good anymore.
That was actually in Canada because I'm very international, right? So like, and these are like crazy like people, and just they would also like lie about like saying that I was like flipping like tables and stuff, even when I would just walk out of the
motherfucker
class,
think he
whatever.
Jesus.
So, yeah, so like, and there's just so much stuff, and then I moved school, and then this like kid stabs me with a pencil, and I had graphite like in my shoulder for like a year before it dissolved. And also growing up with you know, parents that were dysfunctional and unable to help me. And what would cause me to go into a blind rage would be injustice, and more specifically when someone was, you know, going there and punishing someone unfairly, unjustly. And also it was because it was caused by their delusion and ignorance.
Yes.
So that forms pretty much the core of my identity, right? That I believe that, you know, making a better world is about justice. It's about having like actual equality,
Yes.
like true equality, not just what
perceived equality.
Yes.
Sorry, my drink's
But
right there.
also, fundamentally, it's about understanding things like how, like, ignorance kills and delusion kills.
Yes.
And this is something that happens. Killing, the death caused by that is pretty much the worst case scenario, but at the very least, it causes mass harm. Pretty much all what I've noticed about people, and people in my own childhood and people that I analyzed in my adulthood, is that pretty much all people that we call evil have just convinced themselves through some twisted delusional story that what they're doing is actually good for society.
Yes. Emotional mathematics.
Yes. So like
or
to
acrobatics,
me, I just
more
think
like.
and systems need to be changed.
Yes.
In order to, well, because systems is what we have. That's another thing that I have been able to have is like I as well also am a very systematic thinker. To me, thinking systematically is as easy as just observing some random thing. It's so easy to me. I feel like I'm barely expending any brain power, and that has allowed me to understand things that are beyond.
Short. I'm not. You're just very tall.
The understanding.
It's all good. Sorry. Continue.
But still, I hope to be. I also have a deep passion for teaching as kind of like revenge for all the teachers that have abused me.
Hmm.
So I like to take complex things and to kind of synthesize them into an easily digestible form factor that's very actionable for the public. I generally am passionate about teaching as many people as possible, and I'm generally passionate about making the world a better place. So hopefully, I can make a dent on the injustices that affected me, because I do feel deep empathy for for example, millions of kids that are currently being tortured by our various school system that we call education. And I believe that we can improve such a system to be truly about education again.
Yeah. So education will definitely be a talking point in a new episode for sure. 100%. Also, I agree with the justice thing. I've actually been thinking about changing my name in here to Acraziel. Acraziel is actually the archangel of justice and hold on, let me look him up again, because like I saw this and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so cool. It sounds so much more like me. It also goes by Raquel. Um, Hold on, I'm just googling this real quick. But yeah, so but I'd be going by Acraziel, which I really think is cool. But it's the archangel of justice, fairness, harmony, vengeance, and redemption. It's from the Book of Enoch. Um, but I find that very hopeful sounding, I guess. But it's also, it just kind of fits my personality as you walk off camera. Exit stage left. Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. And I 100% want harmony. I want people to be happy. It burdens my soul every day I wake up and I'm just like, I want to help people. Like I've tried so many different ways of helping people over the past. Like I've tried paying for people's things. Not that I ever had much money. I've tried helping people make their computers run faster. I've tried, just busting my ass for a job that ended up laying me off more often than not. It's I want to see a positive change in the direction of humanity. I want to see there be, an end of nonsensical bureaucracy. I want to see there be more focus on automation, more focus on community over the individual. The needs of everyone need to come before the needs of the few. And it's not even the needs of the few at this point. It's the wants that are being extracted. There definitely needs to be a lot of changes going forward, but I think that with the right minds at the top, with the right people who are thinking and philosophizing, which philosophy is the cornerstone of Western civilization. It has unfortunately been forgotten by the majority in lieu of, small AI cat videos, which, granted, cats are great. I love cats. Cats are awesome. But, at some point you have to stop watching the cat videos in order to, change something about your situation, which for most people right now is you can't afford anything, you can't live, at least in the US. Definitely not getting any health care unless you have lots of money. It's not about life anymore. The whole point of existing is to be a witness of, without getting too religious, creation. Just being here with us, with each other, with your friends, with your family. Just to exist and to not have all of these stressors of a nonsensical, non-working society that are like pressing onto you and calcifying you and turning you into a diamond when you were never meant to be a diamond. You're meant to be a tree. But yes, both of us talk in parables a lot, so parabolic furs could also be a good could also be a good thing.
I believe that your beliefs and mine are pretty much
Aligned,
mostly
yes.
aligned.
That's why
I might
we're
just
recording this.
yeah, I usually express it in a different way, but like
But
deep
that's good.
down, throughout my childhood, the reason why I cared for justice, and I would be speaking for things like, we, you teacher, you're suppressing us, we don't deserve this, because I always had this belief that like we, as in the people around me, we deserve better. We don't deserve to be treated like that. And in the world today, then we are treated like, well, pretty much like livestock, like where the rulers
Sadly.
they extract value from us, like leeches. They take our money, and they give nothing back, like a parasite. And that is just an insane injustice. And I think it's important for people to be aware of how ridiculous this is, and for us to undo programming that's been put into our minds that makes us just blindly accept this reality, blindly accept that we're just a cog in the machine, and we should just need to put our heads down and just keep,
We
rolling
were
down the
never meant to be
production line.
cogs. We're
Let's,
supposed to help build everything. Like these things that we're holding now. We're supposed to be helping build things. Like, like the room that we're standing in right now. Like we're supposed to build. We're supposed to create. That's what we're here for. But what we've been, led to believe is that it's all about money or, like knickknacks. It's never been about that. It's about making everyone else in your community happy. It's about
yeah,
creating like not
yeah,
not value, but intrinsic value and
yeah.
future proofing
There are
value.
so many,
You build a well
there are
not for
so many
yourself
ways.
because you can go and get water from the stream. You build a well for your children so that they may not have to walk to the
Mhm.
stream.
There are so many ways we can look at this. I think that there are many things that we've been kind of gaslit into, many ideologies. Like one of them is that people say like, "Oh, we're so selfish" or whatever. But in many cases, I think that a lot of that is a learned behavior. Because you look in many places, over 60% of people say that they are lonely. And to me, this is another core principle of mine, is that system should not be designed to oppress people. A system should be designed by humans to serve humans, not the other way around. And a system that makes over 60% of us feel lonely is unhuman. It's not designed for humans. It's almost like dehumanizing us.
Yes.
It clearly isn't working.
Well, I mean, at the
So
end
I
of the day,
believe,
people are
like,
animals, and like some of us, accept that a little bit more than others with the meow. But at the end of the day, we're critters. We like to think that we're like these amazing things, but like we just need to talk through these things. We have the ability to. Why don't we? And the reason is because people feel like they're scared. Honestly, I think that's honestly the biggest reason why people don't talk is because they're scared. That they're scared of either not understanding it or some sort of retribution. But if you speak truth and you really just want better for the world, speak up, talk, and or at least like try to understand what's going on and listen to trusted sources or people that you like watching and that aren't biased. Those kind of things just
yeah,
don't build anything. It's just
I always,
it's just
hmm
consumerism. We don't need
I
that.
would beg, yeah, I actually would, I remember growing up, I would beg people to just think,
They don't.
because it makes me
They don't want to.
sad when people just walk around like a drone, and they don't use their brain. They don't question the system. They're walking straight into the leeches, and they're just getting screwed. And they always find some way of deluding themselves. Like they make up excuses, and I'm like, it's your money. Save yourself.
It's not just about the
Like
money
I just
though. And that's the thing is
yeah,
it's become systemic past money, past everything. And we
yeah,
can do
it's
so
gone
much better.
past.
We can
But the
build
reason
so
I
much
talked
better.
about money in that regard is because we're still stuck in capitalist economy, so we need money to have a basic standard of living. So if someone is just
For now.
walking into the trap and wasting money, that directly affects how much food they have on the table, and it directly affects how much anxiety they have when it comes to paying bills.
Yeah, like
So
for
that's
me
why
right now, like I
I
had a
care.
granola bar, and that's probably like the only food I'll eat until later today. Like, I am poor. I'm fine with being poor. I don't mind being poor. I just want enough to survive. And I think that's the majority of people. They just want to live. Like, they just want to be able to go into the world and go into life and say, I have enough. And that is, I think that's beautiful. It's also sad, but it's beautiful and poetic at the same time, of just like, I want to be okay. And a lot of people don't feel okay right now. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I want from this show, is to help make more people okay and help to bring more positive things to togetherness, community, congregation, to remeld society back to love and light, as opposed to money and, you know, empty bank accounts. I just think that we need to do more, and we need to say more. And without doing those things, we're just spinning our wheels. And a lot of us feel like we're spinning our wheels right now. We do nothing but spin our wheels. And, you know, you could look for a job, you can, you know, apply to 1,000 jobs, and maybe you'll get it. But like, at the end of the day, they pay you, let's say, $20 an hour, while they're getting $100 of value per hour out of you. And that same principle is just happening over and over again. And so it's basically created a pyramid scheme of like financial and emotional manipulation, basically, of the system. And I think we could build an entirely better system, because at the end of the day, what do we have right now? We have like a bunch of people who just want to exist, right? We have a bunch of people who just want to exist. We have tons of housing, tons of resources, and most of it's already automated. So why don't we focus on that automation, focus on building up these communities and making it so that people are, you know, working together? Because at the end of the day, you can't just expand and always expect profit to just show up from nowhere. Like, you can't, there's no new markets, there's no new world. Like, there's no new land, there's no like America to conquer. Like, we have to work with what we have. We have to be okay with that. And I think that's one of the things that most of the people in the wealthier classes are a little bit, you know, blind to, is that they just don't see that that there's not infinite growth. And they focus so much on trying to grow it the way that they're used to, that they don't see that if everyone is taken care of, amazing things will happen. People, when they're given the ability to, you know, exist and be okay with themselves, and to think and to be clear, the amount of change and the amount of innovation that can happen can change the world overnight if these things were changed.
I agree with essentially everything you're saying. I just want to add further data points to it. Like, when it comes to the infinite growth, just to show how insane it is, right? You know, right now we exist in a capitalist economy that requires infinite growth. If there is even a slowdown or even a dip, they call it a recession. And like, this is just not sustainable, because if you run,
you don't go out and buy a new TV every year. I mean, if you do, I mean, hats off to you. I don't know why you do that, but like, there's a whole lot of
3% growth
perceived need, when it's not needs, it's wants.
It's not need.
You need health, you need water, you need food, you need housing. That's it. Everything else is bullshit. There you go. You like, you don't have to watch anymore. Health, food, water, housing. That's it.
Okay. And here's the thing that's so ridiculous to me. Like, a 3% growth for 100 years, that is kind of reasonable. That is a 16x. Like how, like, it, I mean, obviously GDP is kind of BS.
You mean 3% per year, correct?
Yeah, 3% per year. is literally 16x in 100 years. Okay. That is
Sorry.
just not sustainable in any way. And it blows my mind that, like, and we also look at other things like population, for example. Like, we live in a world
That's a big
today
one.
where pretty much every country, and I'm talking like literally 90% of the 200 countries in the world, are not having enough kids. And
Yeah.
that's a problem because in our current system,
Without more consumers, the system does
yeah,
not work.
it's the entire system is kind of like a giant pyramid scheme, right? Where you're supposed
You always
to
have to get new people at the bottom of the pyramid in order for the pyramid to continue growing.
You're supposed, yeah,
The pyramid
you're
has to get
supposed to have like
taller.
three workers per old person. Otherwise, the economics don't really make sense, right? So like, what's going to happen in the future is that like people genuinely don't understand like how devastating this is. But I think that this will basically mean that, like, especially starting in like South Korea, that's got like the worst birth rate in the world, it is going to make economic growth basically impossible.
But that's the
And
thing,
that
is
would
that we
be
shouldn't be focusing on economic growth anymore. Like, we are not at that phase. We are now, so capitalism helped us. So like after feudalism, after, like the pharaohs, and, after all of these different things that have come up, industrialization, so, production increased a lot. Then we had, modern capitalism. Now we're at the end of that. We have capped that. It is capped. We cannot go any higher. So what do we do now? We build
the way I
for the next
yeah,
system.
the way I see it is that the desire to maximize profit is always dangerous. It is like having an open flame in a flammable room. Like, there is a massive risk, and for certain industries, it just doesn't work. Or at least it causes mass harm while quote unquote working with worse results. Like, one of the greatest examples is healthcare. That is probably the easiest one to get people. It's like, as soon as you have a for-profit system, suddenly, why would you want to cure everyone, right? Because that would reduce your customers, right? And the same thing happens for preventative healthcare. Like, there's so, like, in our society, when it comes to something like healthcare, I think it's important to understand how, instead of these vague ideas that people have, like, oh, private good, private bad, is that understanding the fundamental incentives, like, get in the mind of your enemy. If I'm a capitalist, I don't have empathy, I only care about money, right? It is only logical.
Also, I just realized that maybe I should be on the other side because my hair covers the. Just swap sides.
Yeah. So, like, that's why this happens over and over again, and you end up having that issue. Or the example that I was trying to talk about is someone might have a skin condition, and a doctor might look at it and say, "Oh, that's early skin cancer," and they probably can treat it for a lot cheaper than if it was more late-stage skin cancer. But in a capitalist system, what incentive do you have? Because if it's late stage, then you can charge them for a bigger procedure. So why would you want to cure the cancer early? And that becomes the problem, is that fundamentally, it's about money. And when you follow the logic of more customers good, and that goes on top of other things, like how when people are at their weakest, like when someone is literally, like,
dying,
maybe dying.
Yeah.
Like, they can
they're the easiest
them because
they're the easiest to extort. They're the easiest to manipulate, and that's just a system that we don't need anymore. Like, we shouldn't support going forward. So just a quick recap so far. We've had we want to talk about education, logic, capitalism, and my upcoming idea of futurism, and then what was the last point? Healthcare. I think did I miss anything? So we had healthcare, logic, capitalism, futurism, and education. Money. Money's always a big talking point, but I don't think it should be like philosophy. Morals. The moral decline in the societies of the world today. Oh my God. That's definitely another big talking point we need to make.
I think if I were to start with this topic, what I think has been the issue is that people have somehow been immoral, but also overly moral, depending on the group of people. Because, like, you see how, like, for example, like,
almost like
these, like, people who sit
radicalized,
there.
like, or
Yeah.
extremist morals, like PETA.
Yeah.
For example, not hating on anyone in PETA. I'm never hating on anyone anywhere, by the way. We're just calling out hypocrisies and trying to come to understandings amongst peoples. It's about, you know, either you're on one end or another. And it's never about, you know, seeing the nuance, seeing the truth.
Yeah.
Picking out the truth from the bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Like, one thing that has always, like, shocked me is that people, they have this weird idea where, like, they're such, like, supposedly pro-equality that they don't think there should be restrictions on people who have very little empathy. One thing that I have been analyzing this for a very, very long time is that as long as we allow people with essentially no empathy to lead us, those people are going to cause mass harm, right? Like, you wouldn't let a serial killer be a leader, so why should we let a businessman that is doing it?
A serial businessman.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there are some good things that a businessman could bring to an economy. Like, if you look at the U.S. economy between 2016 and 2020, you know, things were pretty good. But, like, at the same time, you know, it's about, you know, as a society, we should stop looking at everything as if it's a business. People are not goods. Excuse me, sir, I'd like to purchase you as a good. Like, like, people aren't goods. Like, I don't know why it's so hard for people to comprehend that. Yeah. Like, people just aren't things to sell and to use.
Yeah,
people should be allowed to exist.
Okay. People have just been... I've noticed that one of the worst things about society is that, think about how many people that if you say something like that questions their belief, they will just regurgitate it. Oh, because it's better, because business good, because this good. They would just repeat the programming over and over and over again. And there's no real questioning of that, like really getting into it and thinking, well, how about other countries? Like, this is another major thing. Look at other countries. Like, people need to burst their bubble and realize that
not everything is like your little view. Nothing is your little view. Whatever little view you might have, like, if you've gone anywhere, if you've done anything, if you've, like, you know, seen or experienced other cultures, you can see very clearly that the majority of whatever culture nonsense you hold, you are without a doubt seeing the world through a pinhole, and you are basically in Plato's cave. We are here to open your eyes. We are here to show you what's behind the curtain. What's not necessarily what's behind the curtain, but that there isn't a curtain, and that we can all just exist here. And we just have to figure things out and talk things through. And do we have all the right answers? No, I don't want to say that right now. All the right answers? Absolutely not. But if we can get people talking, talk through these things and to work through these problems of society from the viewpoint of the average person, and, like, you know, making sure that people are taken care of, and making sure that, you know, Susie down at the market has enough money to go get a tooth pulled, as opposed to living her entire life in pain, which is it happens. It happens a lot more than you'd think. And I think we can do something about that. I really do.
We can always do something to improve society. Another discussion that is about, like, the mentality required to do this is this idea versus personal responsibility versus government. Now, I'm going to keep this general. Obviously, the ratio will depend on the country. If it's like America, the government is going to be less competent. If it's Europe, the government's going to be more competent. But the general idea...
I don't think any of the governments are competent at this point. I think if they were, then we wouldn't be at this point. Yeah, but I think that's a moot point, honestly. I think, honestly, Well, yeah, but that's the point, is we want to remove relativity, like, oh, well, relatively I'm a good person because I don't, like, I don't slaughter people or whatever, like we need to get that out of our heads. We need to just clearly, calmly state truth and work towards care and compassion and love for all.
So the truth behind the idea of like one or the other, right? So when it comes to actually taking action on something like are the economic issues we face or climate change or something, there is this debate. Like I'm going to use climate change because it's an example where there is this debate, like where, for example, it's these top 100 companies that pollute the most, and then people point the finger at them, and then they say, oh, but they pointed the finger at us because they did the thing. And all of this finger pointing prevents action from the beginning, where like the way I view it is that most of the responsibility is up to us, because guess what, guess who buys products from these companies? You and me. We buy from them.
If we all just stopped buying, like, let's just say like knick-knack A, and like we know that they destroy the economy or the environment, then if we all just boycott this one thing, then like they have to stop production eventually, and then that goes away automatically. And the thing is that we don't need all the shit that they try to sell us all the time. We don't.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how well it actually works. How many times that boycotting and sending millions of aggressive messages actually works to force a company to actually give a shit about you instead of just like doing whatever,
caring about the money. But like I think we should just
more
move
about
past
the actionable part. So when it comes to Europe, like where, like for example, if I were to look at when Amsterdam decided, hey, we want to have like we want to all go green, right? They all pretty much voted green, and they want to have an even nicer looking city. That, again, like, who is responsible for learning these facts and then voting? You are. So the personal responsibility, I think it leans towards that part, where the responsibility of others, like obviously I think it's important for us to make sure that we have a more competent government that actually does things, because some things just have to be done on a larger level. On a larger level, especially with just the way our society is structured.
I have very specific views on like how governments should function going forward. Personally, I think that kind of like a reverse pyramid scheme. I think that we should have very basic rules that apply globally, like basically like a one world governance, except for working towards very, very basic on the large scale. Like, don't lie, don't kill, don't steal. If we can all agree on those 3 points as a globe, and very stiff punishments for breaking those things, then we can move forward in a land without murder, a land without thieves, and a land without lying. And if we have that as a basis of foundation of society at large, then we move down from the top triangle pyramid down to more local levels, where these laws are made by by the people, where each individual community going down and down and down until you have these little communities where they're all voting. And if they want to have wild Taco Wednesdays or whatever, where they all like go and like wear thongs or something, they can vote on that, and like they all have a say. And then these communities build over time, and they can vote things, and they can choose different things. Like everyone can have their own lives, and you can move between communities if you so desire, and the ability to just exist and to be, I think, is very, very, very important for going forward.
Like we need to be ourselves. It's one of those biggest things that like I think it's very important that we create a more just society that allows people to do that. And one of the things that always, as a person, again going back to my story about injustice, I remember, growing up, that there was a time where I was sent to the school, and it was just apparently it was a normal school, but they had like these blue bars, like straight up, like I swear it was prison bars. Like they probably just got them from the same factory, and then the kids went in, and then they opened the second set of bars, so it was literally like an airlock, and the
Where the
school had
fuck did
two.
you grow up? I thought my school was like
Right.
prison, but damn.
Okay, right. And then it had two walls, and the outer wall had an electric fence on top of it. And I remember like that I would just routinely walk out of class. I would be like ducking and like hiding in bushes, like, and that just felt horrible. And I think like for a kid to go through that it is messed up. So and a lot of that is like, and I also like took this. I remember there was this like concrete block, and it had like a steel tube shoved into it. So basically, it was like a weird hammer. I actually would go like every day, pick up this hammer, and I would smash this wall. I actually made a hole in the wall because I wanted to escape the school. And the thing about it is, like, my conclusion from this is that I felt like I was deeply discriminated against, because like I felt like that I was sent to this place without my consent. And I know, like, technically as a kid,
Yeah, you
I
don't.
had
You
no
don't have.
legal base.
You don't have any consent.
I don't.
You
But I don't
you
have
do what your
consent.
parents
I don't
tell you.
have
You do what your
rights.
government tells you to do, and
Yeah,
that's it.
and
You don't have rights
and
anyway.
to me that felt messed up to
You
me.
still
And
don't
I
have
think
rights.
that
Like at the end of the day, like you
Yeah.
have to go work, you have to go do this, you have to do this. Even though the majority of the jobs out there are all bureaucratic nonsense. You know, you fill out line 47BA because that's what you're supposed to do. But like at the end of the day, like we're all people, and none of us were designed to A, work this much, B, be under this much stress, and C, be under this much bureaucracy and red tape. The red tape is really the biggest issue with society. But anyway, I think that's probably good enough for the first plan here. But yeah, expect more. I think this is a good start. And also we don't want to keep it too long, because I think we've already been going for I don't know how long. But it's definitely been a little bit of time.
Close to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a short little intro thing and a pilot. Yeah, so we have Tizloose, Cyan, and Dusk. Sexy Dusk over in the corner.
damn.
What? But no, it's just because that one shot. It's pretty funny. You'll see in the video. I'll send it to you. But yeah. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you all later. Peace, and I mean that.